In my previous video, you had seen an NS with a broken input shaft bearing which required a replacement from inside. So this will be a continuation of the previous video, and if you haven't watched it, the link is provided in the iCard above. Now in this one, let's see what actually had happened and fix the issue. After crack opening the crankcase, the first thing that I wanted to check if there is a damage inside the crankcase itself or is it the bearing alone. After collecting all the gears and washers, the first thing that I noticed is the discoloration that is there on the bearing itself. This solely happens only if in case the bearing is overheated, and this happens either of the two reasons. One, either the bearing is completely seized due to improper oil circulation, or someone have externally heated it up. And with this case, it has done the same way what I expected. The previous mechanic, what they have done is, just to replace one bearing, they try to heat up the crankcase, and for the sake of removing the bearings, they also damaged the bolt that is holding it, which had actually led to a damaged crankcase itself. But they also did not even change the bearings, for which all these efforts were actually put in. So now this have come up with an issue. I decided to replace almost all the bearings that is out there except the balancers and crankshafts. There were a couple of stoppers which holds the bearing onto the crankshaft and ensure that it doesn't loosen up over time. You need to install these stoppers in place, and when it comes to the actual input shaft bearing, this stopper was actually held with one screw which was already stripped off, and I decided to replace it. Once all the bearings has been replaced, I started with keeping the washers in place and then lowered the input and output gears entirely as one stack together onto the slots. Next, I installed the shift drum onto the bearings that we newly installed. Now the next step is to install the shift forks, which is attached to the gear and the drum. 2 on the output shaft and 1 on the input shaft. Just note its orientation and install properly onto the grooves that is made on the drum to ensure proper shifting. Now the shift fork rod actually holds 2 springs for the output shaft. So to ensure the springs are in place, I'm using grease to hold it properly and then insert into the slots, and followed by inserting a spring on the other side. Wherein the input shaft doesn't have any spring, so it can be installed as it is. At this stage, you can actually check if the gears are shifting properly by holding the drum gears and the shaft sliders properly and ensure all the gears are shifting properly. Now I'm lubricating all the internal components and bearings with fresh engine oil. Now the next step is to install the dowel pin and insert the gasket onto its place before we close the entire crankcase, and then tighten all the bolts holding it. Making sure that you tighten all the bolts in a crisscross pattern to ensure even distribution of the force, and also not to damage the crankcase by exerting extra force on one single bolt. As a next step, I'm moving to the clutch side. I start with lubricating the bearings and the internal components before I do anything further. Installing the oil pump, there is a dot highlighted on the oil's impeller that has to be matched onto the housing. The next step is to lubricate the oil pump and install onto the crankcase and secure with 3 bolts that you removed before. The next step is to install the star gear and tighten its Allen bolt, followed by installing its retainer with a spring and tighten it as shown in the video. At this stage, again you can check if the gear shaft shifting properly using the Allen key as shown by rotating the star gear. It must operate smoothly and without any stutter, and all the shafts should rotate, ensuring the input and output gears are seated properly and shifting smoothly. Now I'm installing the plastic gear that is actually rotating the oil pump. It is secured with one circlip, so I'm installing it by using a circlip plier. Off camera, I have already installed the sleeve that is held on the crankshaft bearing. After applying some grease, I'm using the woodruff key that has already removed and install the crankshaft gear as shown. Make sure that the marking on the gear has to face towards you while you install it. Next, I'm also installing the timing chain gear and install its washer, making sure I note the orientation and hand tighten the special bolt. Now it's just a matter of installing the gear shift shaft through the hole that is there from the clutch side, which all the way passes through the Magneto side. Whereas in the Magneto side, make sure that you install the spring and the small metal piece onto the neutral switch hole, and then followed by installing the neutral sensor as shown and secure it with two bolts that you removed before. Also route the wiring and install its retainers and secure it with the bolts. Now there are two gears primarily matching the timing, one for the balancer shaft and one for the crankshaft. Make sure that the marking on the gear are aligned and install the gear onto its respective crankshaft and balancer shaft after installing the woodruff key and the half mount key as shown. Check by rotating the crankshaft, ensuring that it doesn't touch the balancer shaft and there is no clash between them. Once this is confirmed, you can go ahead and tighten the crankshaft bolt against the washer and the primary gear itself, and I'm using an impact wrench for making the work easier. Once this is done, I'm also tightening the balancer shaft bolt using an Allen key. Now after inserting one more half moon key, I can install the entire magnet and the one-way startup gear onto the crankcase as shown. As a next step, I went ahead and installed the starter motor, but then I realized I had to remove the Magneto again to install the two more gears that is connecting the starter motor to one-way clutch. So I went ahead and removed the Magneto again, followed by installing all the gears that is necessary, and then install back the Magneto and tighten it with the impact wrench. Now after installing the gasket, I can finally close the Magneto side completely. But before that, I also made sure that I apply some Anabon to make sure that there is no leakage from the Magneto wiring, and then finally close the cover and secure with all the bolts that has been removed before. Now again back onto the clutch side, I went ahead and lubricated the clutch collar with some fresh engine oil and installed it onto the input shaft. Then I install the entire clutch assembly onto the collar that is installed. Now finally I can install the washer and hand tighten the special bolt in an opposite direction. Using the impact wrench, I fully tightened the special bolt of the clutch and then moved on tightening the primary gear's special bolt. Based on my friend's request, I decided to reuse the piston and the bore as it is. Now for positioning the piston rings, just follow these guidelines. The most bottom oil rail ring must always face 30 degrees from left of the exhaust mark. Oil expander ring, which is kind of like a spring, must be facing opposite the exhaust mark. Top oil rail ring, which is the third ring, must be facing 30 degrees right to the exhaust mark. And the second piston ring must be facing opposite the exhaust mark. And finally the top, also known as the first piston ring, must be facing towards the exhaust mark. After installing all the piston rings without any damage, let's install the piston back onto the crankshaft and install its pin and secure with the clip that is removed. After installing the bore gasket and lubricating the entire bore down with fresh engine oil, let's align the piston to the bore, making sure that you don't rotate the piston rings accidentally, and install the bore onto the engine as shown. Clean any of the excess engine oil, and if not, it might give out white smokes for some time. Now let's install the primary timing chain guide and secure it with the Allen bolt, followed by sliding in the secondary timing chain guide. Now let's lower the timing chain and install the timing chain onto the lower timing chain sprocket and hold it upright using some wire. Now the next and final step is to install the head gasket and install the head, followed by aligning all the timings, which have detailedly covered in another video, for which I leave the link in the iCard above. So I'll skip that part and directly move on to after assembling the engine. This video is taken the next day after assembling the engine. So before we install this engine onto the motorcycle, let me explain what all we have done. So you can see I have applied some anabond onto the head gasket here. So this is because there are certain damages that were there on the head itself which might leak oil. So I have put the head gasket. Also you can see there are some anabond on the wiring area where already the oil was leaking. So before installing the engine back to the motorcycle, let me install the spark plug. Now finally the time has come that we can install the engine back onto the motorcycle and tighten all the strut boards and the stay bolts, and followed by connecting all the wiring harness and install the carburetor and the airbox back, and moving on connecting the cables for the clutch and accelerator, and then filling the engine with the fresh engine oil and filling the coolant. Let's see if the bike even starts. And finally, this is a successful rebuild. Thank you so much for watching this video and staying along. I hope you all learned something, and if you people like this content, do consider subscribing to Archeonics and share to your friends who are interested in learning about motorcycle, and also follow me on Instagram for more such interesting content.